great gospel. I'm going to go there. I had a friend yesterday, we were talking, and he's going to help a little church. They have no piano player. They don't have anybody to lead the music. They got a preacher that leads the music, and he don't even know what to do. We are blessed, folks.
Amen.
We are thankful, and God has blessed us. And I appreciate it. Thank you. 148, My Savior's Love.
Him
Randy, if you come up here, please. This work. Hello.
It should be on.
Is this on? It is? All right, you start it, we'll get it, and then we'll jump in or something.
We're gonna play the chorus.
I don't know. You want to do first verse and the chorus?
First, third, and fourth, and we'll do the chorus.
Oh Lord my God, when I in awesome wonder consider all the worlds thy hands hath made, I see the stars, I hear the rolling thunder, thy path throughout the universe display.
Everybody sing it.
Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. And when I think that God his Son not sparing sent him to die, I scarce can take it in that on the cross my burden gladly bearing, he died and died to take away my sin.
Amen.
Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. When Christ shall come with shout of acclamation and take me home, what joy shall fill my heart. Then I shall bow in humble adoration and there proclaim, my God, how great thou art.
Stand up and say it like you mean it now.
Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou
Amen. Good job, man. Now, somebody tell that young'un they needs to be singing pretty regular. I've been telling him for a while. He got a great talent. If he'll let God use that great talent, no telling what God do with it. Isn't that good? You're welcome, Ed. Hey, I carried them all, fed them Thursday night. They owe me. Isn't God good? Man, I tell you, just that song itself, how great He is. I don't think our minds even come close to even a thought process of even starting to understand how great this God is. Turn with me today. I tell you, familiar passage for you today, John chapter 6. While you're turning there, I want to read something. This was handed to me a while ago. And little did they know when they handed it to me that I had read this just not a few days ago. And I almost brought it to use this morning, and it was handed to me this morning. I said, I better use this. Amen. I said, because this is kind of a sign, so I better do this. And I'm going to put my glasses on because I can't see it if I don't. Listen to this. I love this. Some of y'all appreciate this. A fellow slid his car off a road and ended up in a ditch. A farmhouse was nearby, so the motorist asked the owner if he had a tractor he could borrow to get his truck back on the road. Nope, but I got my old mule Blue, said the farmer. I doubt a mule is strong enough to pull my truck out. You don't know Blue, said the mule's proud owner. So Blue was hitched to the truck. Pull, Blue. Truck didn't move. Farmer then called out, pull, Elmer. The truck didn't move. It moved a little. Then the farmer yelled, pull, Biscuit. And the truck was free. Thank you so much, said the truck owner, but I have a question. You called your mule by 3 different names. How is that? He said, simple, said the farmer. Blue's blind. And if he thought he was the only one pulling your truck, you'd still be in the ditch. See there? See that positive? See that power of thinking right there? See the power of thinking? Can I tell you what God will do if we'll trust each other in the power of Him? He'll do some great things. Amen. He'll do some great things. But can I tell you, it takes more than one. Amen. It takes more than one. This morning, as I was reading this, it's probably the most familiar passage of Scripture. It's in all 4 Gospels. And I began reading in it because I heard a statement made out of it in the last week. And that statement kind of stuck in my mind. And I began reading in this passage, in these stories. In the 6th chapter of John, as Jesus went up on the mountain with His disciples to sit down, and He went to rest a little bit. Man, there's just a throng followed Him, a multitude went. He'd already moved through the village. He'd already moved through towns, healing the sick, healing the lame. And the crowds wanted to be where Jesus was. Wouldn't it be great today if the crowds wanted to be where Jesus was instead of where they want to be? Now, I told you, they made the statement to you, last Sunday, because of the weather, most churches in this area didn't have any church. So we got a little glimpse of what everybody else does on Sunday. And I don't like it. I'd rather be in God's house. I'd rather be in a place where God's people are, surrounded by God's people. I got my Bible Sunday morning, and I knew Dr. Stanley comes on at 6:30. So I got my Bible. I said, I'll get right here with Dr. Stanley, and him have a little church this morning. And the news was on. A prolonged version of the news because it was froze. And I thought, it's froze. What else are you going to report? I thought, man. I said, they got ready for church, and the devil done throw the news in there. But in this 6th chapter, I want to show you something today. And I want to bring just a couple of things out of this for you. I want you to begin reading in verse 5 with me. Very familiar story. You all know it. You've taught it from Sunday school up. I mean, we know this story by heart. We think. Sometimes when we think we know all of God's word by heart, guess what? He'll show you something else. You might know what the words say, but He'll show you something else in it. Let's begin reading just in verse 5. And I want to share something with you this morning. And it says this. When Jesus then lifted up His eyes and saw a great company coming to Him, He saith unto Philip, whence shall we buy bread, what these may eat? And this He said to prove Him, for He Himself knew what He would do. Look at that. I love that. Philip answered him and said, 200 pennyworth of bread is not sufficient for them, that every one of them may take a little. One of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, saith unto him, there's a lad here which hath 5 barley loaves and 2 small fish, but what are they among so many? As we look at that passage of Scripture, and we just stop right there. You know, our whole thought process when we read this passage, the fishes, the loaves, the multitudes, the feeding. Can I tell you something? There wouldn't have nobody been fed. First of all, if Jesus hadn't been there. But second of all, nobody would have been fed if somebody hadn't said, I know where there's some food. I know where there's some food. You see some things singled out here. You see some things brought out. See, this is about 1 year. It's almost 1 year to the day, pretty close, before Jesus will be crucified, because it's right before the Passover. It's right before that time. So we don't think about little things like that. Almost a year after this time is when Jesus will be crucified. 200 pennies worth. That's about 6 months' wage for one man in those days. So that was a pretty significant amount of money. But he wasn't even going to touch buying enough food to feed all these people. First of all, these disciples, these 12, they had no intention of feeding these people. What did they tell Jesus? Send them home. Like I said, this is printed in all 4 Gospels. You have to read it in all 4, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. The disciples said, man, you need to send them out of here. We can go buy enough food to feed ourselves, but we can't feed all those people. I'm telling you, when we come to a point in the church, when we say send them out of the way, we can't feed them, something's wrong. Something is wrong. But as we look at this passage today, I want you to see this. First of all, there's not enough. In this passage, it says, there's not enough. And in our mind process, in our thought process, that's the first thing that comes to our mind, is there's not enough. We begin looking at a new building project across the road, and in many, many minds, and some of us didn't say it, but in many, many minds, you're looking at there's not enough. First of all, there's not enough people. First of all, there's not enough money. There's not enough of anything to do that. Can I tell you what? Where there's a little bit, my God can do a whole lot with it. All right? Where there's just a little bit, my God can do a whole lot with it. And I'll trust him, okay? I believe I'm going to trust him. But look at this. You see this, and you see what God says right here. In verse 5, it says, Jesus lifted up and he saw the company. He saw the people. And he asked Philip. He said, Philip, where can we buy bread and how much money do we have? Now here's Philip. We always thought of Judas being the treasurer, didn't we? We always thought of Judas the one hanging on to the money, didn't he? He may have, I don't know. But in this case, he looked at Philip. And he said, Philip, and don't you love it when Jesus calls you out by name? Jesus ever called you out by name? He ever come to you and he ever said, Matt, I need you to do something. Donald, answer me. Hadley, I got something for you to do. You see, that's what Jesus does, because not only is he this great God we serve, he's so personal that he'll call us out simply by name and say, I've got something for you to do. But here's our problem. We don't want to hear that. We're kind of like old Blue right there. Now, if we think we're the only one pulling, guess what? We ain't going to pull. If we think we're the only one pulling, but if we know that there's somebody on this side of us and there's somebody on this side of us and we're all pulling together, guess what? We'll pull just a little bit harder. Why? Because somebody's there with us. Can I tell you something? We got somebody pulling with us that can pull anything if we'll just trust him. He called Philip right here and he says this and he lays it out. And Philip simply said, there's not enough. There is not enough. We don't have enough here, Jesus. You say, I love what Jesus says, or what his thought process was in verse 6. He says, for he himself knew what he was fixing to do. Jesus knew that. You got to understand something. Here's the God of all heavens. Listen to this. We don't see this all the time. Here's the God of all heavens looking at a mortal man saying, we got to feed these guys. Now this is the God, listen to this. This is the God that rained manna down for 40 years on the children of Israel. This is the God that made the widow's meal barrel never go empty. This is listen to this. Oh, Baptists think they know how to feed people. This God knows how to feed people. We pride ourselves on being able to feed people. We know how to feed multitudes. We can get seen that so many times. And I'm going to tell you something, that's something that when we start talking about our God, that's something that we need to get out of our mind. That's something that we need to move away. Because where God's in it, there's always enough. Where God's in it, there's more than what you need. When God's in it, He will supply. I'm going to tell you, I got to go 2 Corinthians 12:9 on this one. Listen to this. My grace is sufficient. Now, we know he's talking to Paul right there. We understand the words of Jesus. We understand what Paul's saying right there. But I'm telling you something. His grace is sufficient. And if we'll trust Him, we'll lean on Him, and we'll allow Him to work, He'll pour His grace out in so much abundance, we can't even keep up with it. And in His grace, we'll find exactly what we need. Philip came in right here. Philip answered. At least he answered. Might not have been the answer that everybody wanted to hear, but at least he answered. When Jesus called Philip out, he said, there's not enough. There's not enough. But look at this. I'm telling you, Proverbs chapter 15, verse 16 says this. Better is a little with the fear of the Lord than great treasure and trouble therewith. Great is a little with the fear of the Lord. Can I tell you, little is much when God is in it. Little is much when God is in it. He can take a little and He can do so much with it. We love it when He does that, don't we? That's what, we come through the Christmas season and the New Year season, catch some crazy weather. I mean, weather we don't understand. It's 70 degrees one day and 15 the next. We're freezing one day and burning up the next. We don't understand that. But God does. And He does it for a reason, and He's got a purpose in it. What is it? I have no idea. All I know is when we ask Him, when He calls us, when He tells us to do something, never look at Him and say, Father, there's not enough. Say, Father, yes, sir. You will supply. Philippians 4:19 says that He'll supply all of our need from what? His riches in glory. Because you know what? He's always got enough. His riches never run out. And He'll supply what we need. So, it's not about, listen to this, not about not having enough. It's about trust. We've got to trust Him. The second thing I want you to see today is listen to this. One person can make a difference. One person can make a difference. Right here you see a man. And he's not called out much. Matter of fact, I think I remember this right. His name is mentioned 9 times in the whole New Testament. And most of the time when it's mentioned in the listing of the other apostles. But there's a man here called Andrew. Peter's brother. Oh, you got to get this. The first. The first. Oh, Andrew, and you don't see it right here. You see Andrew answer. Didn't say Jesus called on him, but you saw him answer. But Andrew, you got to understand, he was a follower, a disciple of John the Baptist. John chapter 1 teaches us that he listened to John the Baptist preach. He was there on the banks of the Jordan River when Jesus was baptized. Why? Because the Bible says that he left there and he went, listen, this is the heart of somebody who wants to see people saved. He left the banks of that river and went straight to his brother and said, we have found the Messiah. We have found the Messiah. He went to Peter and said, we have found the Messiah. What if he hadn't done that? What if he hadn't been the one to do that? What if Andrew didn't do what God said do right there? But he did. He said, we found him. And you find him and he's got this great awe for people. He's got this great awe for people. Because when Jesus said, what are we going to do right here? Listen to this. What Andrew say? I know a lad. I know a lad. Now you got to remember something. There's probably 20,000 people in this throng. He said, well, the Bible says 5,000. The Bible says 5,000 men. That's not talking about the rest of them that were there. The women and the children. There was a throng of people in this place. Probably 20,000 strong out there. And Andrew, listen, this is so great. Andrew had been personally in that crowd ministering to people because he knew when a need came up, he says, I know a lad. I've done met a young man out here and listen to me. He's got something to give. He's got something to give. He said, I know where he's at. Let me go get him. You see that involvement of personal ministry there? You see how it is? Can I tell you what's happening in churches today? People don't know each other. People don't know each other. See, one of the things that Andrew knew right here, he says, I know someone that has something to give. Can I tell you something? When the churches begin to gel and we begin to know each other, I can look and I can say, I know someone that has something to give. And I pick up the phone and I call them and say, hey, I got a need right here. I got a ministry right here. I need some help. And I know you've got ability to do that. See, what happens is we don't see the ability in people because we don't know the people. That's just as honest as I can be. We'll say, well, they ain't been here 40 years. Okay. They still got ability. And they still won't be used by God, okay? So we got to do like Andrew. Andrew said, I know a lad. Even the Greeks, over in the 12th chapter of John, they came to John and said, we want to get close to Jesus. Well, before John carried him to Jesus, he went to Andrew and said, man, let's minister to these guys before. So Andrew ministered, then Andrew carried him to where Jesus was. See, Andrew had a heart for people. He's an unsung hero. You don't hear much about him. His ministry's not great. His name's not in lights. But can I tell you something? God used him in a mighty way. He's fixing to do it again. He's fixing to do it right here. Because Andrew was able to see things. Listen to me. Andrew was able to see things, some things that I think that we've kind of overlooked in the church today. Listen to this. And I'm going to borrow this from John MacArthur. So listen to this today. He saw the value of individual people. I think we've lost sight in that today. I think we've lost the value. See, the value is how much something's worth, right? The value of individual people. He could have sat there and said, well, I know where he's a kid out there with a couple of fish and some bread, but that's insignificant. That ain't going to do nothing. That's not going to do anything. He didn't do that. He said, I know a lad. I done met him. And you know what? I bet he'll give that fish. But not only did he see the value of individuals, listen to this, he saw the value of insignificant gifts. Things that people have that we overlook. Things that people have in their life. Things that people have to give. Gifts that God has given them, but we see them as so small they're not useful, but we don't call on them. See, Andrew saw that insignificance in them gifts. He says, hey, you got to use the little things. And I tell you what, if you stack up a whole bunch of little things, what have you got? A lot. If you stack up a lot of little, you got a lot. All right? And what happens is these insignificant gifts that each of us have to give, we got to look for them in the people. We got to look for them in individuals. We got to ask them, please give. I'm not asking for your money. I'm asking you to give a little time. But I'm asking for you to use the gift that God has to glorify me. Evan, you got a great gift, son. You got a tremendous gift that God has given you. Use it. Yeah, I'm calling you by name. I'm doing like Jesus did right here. But you see, that's what we got to start doing. It's calling by name. Go into people and saying, hey, you've got a gift. And I want you to use it here. You've got a gift, and I want you to bring that gift and use it here. And you'll say, well, my gift's insignificant and small. It don't matter. God can magnify. Amen. And you know what happens? That's how kingdoms grow. That's how his kingdom grows. That's how churches grow. But not only that, he saw the value of inconspicuous service. The value of service that's unseen. The value... There's a lot of service goes on here at this church that is unseen by people that you don't have a clue. And you know what? That's pleasing to God. They want to be unseen. I know we handed out those awards the week before last, and I know there's people still mad at me, but they'll be all right. But I know there's a lot of inconspicuous work that goes on, and that pleases God. It's the behind-the-scenes things, guys. Listen to this. It's the mopping the fellowship hall. It's just coming and picking the stuff up in the yard when it needs to be picked up. It's ministering to a certain need in a church member's life and nobody else knows you've done it. See, that's inconspicuous service. God loves that. And Andrew was able to see that in people. He had that great gift of ministry that he could see that in people. Not only could he see it in people, he would use what God had to draw it out of people. 2 fish and 5 loaves? What significance is that to 20,000 people? What significance is that to 20,000 people? It's not. Because what will we do to that today? Well, we got 20,000 people here, and there's one loaf of bread laying back there. There's been many a nights we've been here with about that many people, or what felt like that many people, and about that much food back there. Did you know that? And you know what we've done? We've fished and loaded that thing. We prayed over that thing, and we lifted it up to God, and everybody left here fed with something. Did y'all know we've done that before? And we'll have to do it again. But little is much when God is in it. Listen to this quote, this statement. Thank God for the people like Andrew. They're quiet individuals, laboring faithfully, but inconspicuously giving insignificantly sacrificial gifts, who accomplish the most for the Lord. All they're looking for, listen to this, all they're looking for is a well done. Not by you, by him. That's all Andrew was looking for, was a well done. Andrew didn't have to say anything here. He could have kept his mouth shut and it went on. But he didn't. Jeremiah chapter 1 verse 5 says this. Look, I'm just going to use some words out of that verse. Before I formed thee. Before I formed thee, I sanctified and ordained. Before he formed us, he sanctified us and he ordained us. He knew who was going to be sitting here out here today. He knew the gifts you were going to have. He knew the people we were going to be. He knew how we were going to be. But can I tell you something? He wants to use God. He wants to use his people today. He wanted to use Philip and he wanted to use Andrew here. He knew what he was going to do. The Bible teaches us. He knew what he was fixing to do. But he's looking for the obedience of people. Because the Bible teaches us further on in that. There's a lad with 5 loaves, 2 small fishes. But Andrew asked the question. See, Andrew wasn't perfect. But what are they? God, I know they're here. I know there's some food in the presence. But what are they among so many? What are they going to do among this many people? How in the world are you going to take this small amount of food and feed 20,000 people? God, I just don't understand. But you know what Jesus was fixing to do? He was fixing to take a little, and he was fixing to do something great. I love it when he tells me, he said, you go sit the men down. But you know, here's the thing about it. We get in our mind that this whole 20,000 of people saw this great miracle take place, and I'm sure part of them did. But I bet the whole 20,000 didn't, because you know what happened was, all part of them knew was somebody came by with a basket full of fish, and somebody came by with a basket full of bread, and I ate. They didn't know where it come from. All they knew, and there's a lot of them in churches like that today, all they knew is they got there and the food was there. They got there and somebody had supplied it. They got there and it was there and I ate it. See, that whole multitude didn't see what was going on right there, but I tell you what them 12 did. Them 12 got what Jesus was trying to show them right there. Philip understood a little bit more about how valuable $1 there. Oh my God, can do anything. Andrew said, all you got to do is bring it before, and all you got to do is put it out there, and he'll do something great with it. Can I tell you something? I don't care what's going on in your life right now. I don't care where you are in your life right now. I don't care how insignificant the things in your life are, how inconspicuous the things are in your life. Whatever you've got, my God can do something great with it. Even the problems, even the troubles, even the struggles, all of that, if you'll turn them over to God, he'll do something great with it. You say, oh, preacher, you don't know what I got going on. Preacher, you don't understand what's going on in my life. I sure don't. But he does. And you you know what he's looking for and waiting on? He's waiting on you. He's waiting on you to say, preacher, I can't do this anymore. Pray with me. Listen, I tell you, we all got them. We've all got struggles. We've all got troubles. You show me somebody that don't, and I'll show you a lot. They got a bad lying problem. Because we all have it. But listen, Jesus wants to do something great with them. And if we'll let him, he will. Philip said, we can't. Andrew said, I know. Jesus said, I will. You see that? You see what happened right there? Because after Andrew asked that question, well, what is this among so many? He goes right back up to that 5th verse. He knew what he was going to do. He just wanted to see the obedience of his children. Can I tell you something, church? He knows what he's going to do. He knows what he wants to do right here this morning. He knows what he wants to do in the lives of the ones sitting in these pews this morning. He knows what he wants to change in a life. He knows what he wants to make different in life. He knows what he wants to make great in a life. Can I tell you the greatest thing about the struggle in a life is when you get over it? But when we get over it, we say, "Whoa, I'm glad I'm through that." We don't say how great he is. How great he is. Because he not only brought me through it, he stayed right there with me.
That's right.
He stayed right there with me through the whole thing. He never left me. He never moved away from me. The Gospel of John in the 6th chapter, this is the only account of the story for the manger call. The only account for the manger call. Andrew did great things. We don't hear a lot out of him. We know Philip. We see Philip a couple times on down the road too. And he did some great things in the Lord. Church, if we want to do some great things, not in ourselves, but if we want to see the Lord do some great things through us, what we have to do is trust him and allow him to work. You got some inconspicuous things in your life today. You got some things that, listen to this, you got some things which you consider insignificant in your life. They're small, they don't really matter. They do God. Because anything we've got in our life that keeps our mind focused somewhere else, that keeps our thoughts focused somewhere else, we're not focusing on God and what he can do in a life. I've seen lives right here. I've seen little baby work in me. Lord and I were laughing the other day. Just some things he'd done, some places he'd brought us, some things he brought us through. And I was going to tell you, my intention sure wasn't to be standing right here. No, sir, it was not. And if I still had my way, I would not. But he said, son, you got a little bit. Give me that little bit. And I'll just use the rest. He's blessed me. He's blessed you. I've seen him change lives right here. I've seen him change lives on this side of the church. I've seen him change lives on this part of the church. And I've seen him change lives on this side of the church. But I want to see him do something great in these lives today. Some of us are just struggling. With just life. Life's tough. Life's hard. This time last week, we were trying not to freeze chickens to death. Now we're having air conditioning. One wrong decision, and I got a bunch of fried chicken. And I said, God, you're going to have to help me with this. I don't know what to do. And he did. The things of life. See, we're just all one wrong decision. And I won't use a word that I don't like very much. We're all one wrong decision away from stupid. I mean, we are. But can I tell you something today? Today, as we saw this, we know the rest of that story. They took the fish. They took the bread. They fed all them people Like we said, many of them sat out there and had no idea where it was coming from. All they knew, food bowl was coming by. That's all they knew. You got there. Many of us are sitting here today. Listen to me. 2017 can be a great year in your life or two. But I'm going to tell you, you're going to decide which it'll be. Because even in the worst times, God's still on the throne. He's still right there with you, and He can still be great. There's an individual here today that says, well, preacher, I got some things to give, and I'm just not sure how to do it. Start right here. Crying out to God, God use me. Maybe you're here this morning, listen. Maybe somebody here this morning is not saved. You may not know Jesus as a personal Savior. You never met Him. You say, I keep waiting on this Jesus that everybody talks about, this Jesus that we read about. I keep waiting on Him to do something great in my life. You let Him save your soul, He'll do the greatest thing in the world in your life. And then He'll continue. And then He'll continue. Everybody wants to define this time of year by ball games. I care less if they're playing another ball game. Y'all look at me and say, wait a minute, Mr. Roll Tide. Can I tell you how much that ball game meant to me last season or Monday night? I wouldn't be it. And never watched a bit of it. See, because those things don't matter anymore. I didn't say you couldn't have fun with them. I didn't say you couldn't enjoy them. But when you reach a place in your life, they start to take you over in some things, you need to get rid of them. I don't care. And I'll go ahead and say this now while we're here. If the Falcons go to the Super Bowl, we're not calling church off, okay? Sorry. We'll be here. Alright? And we're not having a Super Bowl party either, okay? Time and place for everything. This ain't time and place, none of that. But listen. Let God do something amazing in your life today. Let Him do something different in your life. Let Him make you over again. He'll do it over and over and over again. You know why? Because His grace is sufficient. All the insufficiencies we have, His grace is sufficient. He knew Philip. Jesus knew that little boy in fish was there. But He was waiting on somebody to tell him. Did you know that? You ever thought about that? He was waiting on somebody to say, hey, get here some fish. And we all like to believe that little boy gave that stuff up with him. And he might have had it fine on his hands, trying to make him rub the food in there. I don't know, but all I know is Jesus ended up with it and the multitude was fed. Listen to me. Let Jesus end up with it this morning, and your life will be better. I didn't say perfect. I didn't say no troubles. Better. Better. You know what we're looking for? Better. This morning, as they come to the song,
257.
and as you stand with me,